Welcome to Voice Rising with Kara Johnstad. Enjoy weekly conversations with leading luminaries, pioneering visionaries, singers, poets, musicians, and sound healers as we explore the profound role our voice plays on the path to self-realization and global enlightenment. The internationally acclaimed singer, composer, author, healer, recording artist, voice expert, creator of Voice Your Essence, and founder of the School of Voice, Kara Johnstad uses her extraordinary spiritual gifts to empower others. Everything in this world vibrates. Everything has a frequency. A pioneer in the field of voice work and transformational songwriting. Her breakthrough methods are helping thousands of people worldwide fine-tune their body-mind-spirit system and unlock the energetic frequencies of limitless creativity, health, and abundance. Share your voice, ask your questions, join in the conversation. Receive life-changing, positive transformation and rise together to create a sound world. And here's your host, Kara Johnstad.
Hi, welcome everybody to another enlightening episode of Voice Rising here on OMTimes Radio. Today I have the distinct pleasure of having Vickie Dodd with me on the show. Vickie is a true pioneer in the field of sound healing and author of the groundbreaking new book, Healing Through Sound, Awakening Your Audible Body. With over 50 years of experience as a sound healing therapist, body worker, and workshop leader, Vickie's insights into the profound impact of sound on our physical and emotional well-being are truly invaluable. And so join us, get your tea, sit back, and listen to all of her wisdom. Welcome to the show, Vickie.
Thank you. Thank you, Kara, for inviting me. I'm very grateful to be here.
You have a brand new book out there, and for everybody on the sound healing journey, for me, what makes it a gem, I'm just gonna say this at the beginning of the interview because I've read many sound healing books and I've worked a lot with voices, is that you really talk about sound as a teacher. So you're not going into analyzing, you're coming really from the beauty and the mystery of us understanding the power of sound as, I would say, our best friend in a way, our guide, our deepest teacher. And so that's the first thing I'd just like to say. I'd like to acknowledge that because there are so many books talking about, this singing bowl is exactly for this chakra, and you transcend that, or you go beyond that. So, I thank you for that. In your new book, Vickie, Healing Through Sound, Awakening Your Audible Body, you do talk about this profound impact that sound has. So, how did you discover the healing power of sound?
I think it discovered me. It was my teacher always. So I didn't, when something has always been with you, you don't really know how it happened. And for most of my life, my early life, I just assumed that everyone was perceiving frequencies from the clouds, the mountains, the trees, the human beings. I just, I think that's just what we do. I think that we assume that everyone else is having our similar perceptions. So it took me a while, Kara, to know that might not be true. I've just always been, it's just always been there for me. Everything was always alive and vibrant, and those were my teachers from a child. I was raised in the Ozarks in the United States, which what that means is I was raised with people that would be considered, I guess, more backward. We weren't so exposed, sophisticated-wise, educated-wise. That nature was our teacher, and I don't know if I'm answering what you asked me. I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. It just seems. I think, if I remember correctly from your book, you grew up in Southern Illinois. I grew up in Wisconsin, on a big farm, and
Yeah.
so I think as children, a lot of us, we try to imitate, the whippoorwill, or we try to, listen into the loon cry, or we try to go into maybe the two of us were odd people, but I think a lot of the kids, they do this, they're learning through imitation. I'm always curious as to why we stop. Because I do think that when we're really, really young, if you watch children in their very early age, they're all singing and sounding and moving their objects through space with little, bubbly lip trills and beep beeps and quack quacks and, cuckoos and whatever. And then it stops. Why do you think we stop making all these wondrous sounds that do not belong to our sentence structures?
Well, I think one almost immediately is our educational system.
Yeah.
You're told to be quiet, you're told to sit down, you're told to not. That's not that's just noise. Don't make noise. That there's a correct way, there's a right way. I think somehow it begins that way, and so I think that you and I were very fortunate that we did come from nature.
Yeah.
And we got to have it quite a while, and so that those teachings, like I spent so much time, and I write about it in the book, on this one black walnut tree. It was like this huge lap that you could climb up and just sit there, lay around. Heck, I had meetings up there with my other friends, and had no real understanding of it at the time, and only in retrospect did I realize what a teaching I was being, that I could lean against that tree for hours and hours and years.
Yeah.
And, that it was literally a friend. And some of us, I think we realize that, especially when we see one of our friends that we've known being chopped down, and we go, oh no, that was an intricate part of the neighborhood. And I think that's fortunate that that nature wasn't something that was unique or other than, that it was part of the living environment, part of the landscape. More than landscape, it was the living. And yes, I think that's one piece, and that I didn't have to go to school so young.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I was able to spend more time just with nature, or spend more time with elders. I spent a lot of time with old people as a very young child. They weren't housed away someplace else. We didn't live so far away from one another as we do now. I was the first generation to leave that area. So I think there's many pieces that have disconnected us, I think the automobile became one of the beginnings, Oh, we can go someplace, we can fly someplace. We can, and so we, which I'm grateful for, but at the same time, there was a loss at the same time. But yeah,
Well, now I think back in the day, at least in Trempealeau County, Wisconsin, it's this little coulee that I grew up in. We still had a party line, so we for those people here on the show, that meant that people shared the phone line, even though they might be a mile down the road. And now we're talking about the smartphones, so with everyone quickly being able to do international calls, which were very, very difficult and expensive. And so in one way, you're right, we are, we have so many ways to connect, and in another way, we're so disconnected. And you talk so beautifully in your book about, the trees and their lessons, and the images that I have when you also talk about the nervous system. It's like for us to understand not only our roots, but how we are so deeply connected to each other, if somebody else is not in harmony with their own breath or with their own systems, it does affect us. And we are, unfortunately, spending a lot of time ingesting all of this information. And you have a lovely exercise talking about emptying the need that we have to empty. Can you share with us a little bit about why it's so important with all of this information that we now have in our going from the single party line to all these apps and YouTube channels and everything? Why is it so important for us to empty, to be that conduit?
Yeah, we get so full, Kara, that we can't really hear ourselves. We can't really hear our own inner knowings and wisdom. I think we just get too full. I think it's a reasonable thing that we need to empty a little bit, that which is not ours on a regular basis anyway, regardless of the timetable. Because we do all of our protection things and we think we're separate, but we're not. We just are exchanging energies all the time, as you well know. I mean, we're always in some kind of an exchange, real or imagined, whether we know it or not. It's happening. And it doesn't even mean that it's bad. It doesn't mean that it's good. It means that I just need to take some time for myself daily, and it can take just seconds, really, to release that which is not mine. Let me send back any energy that I've taken on, grabbed when I was at the grocery store, and let it go back to where it belongs.
Yeah.
So I don't get it will keep me from being so confused or feeling constantly overwhelmed. I mean, that's just on a simple daily cleaning, let me just little cleanup calls, like housekeeping. And how do I keep my house? Let me just empty that which is not mine. And sometimes I come from that generation that was always making value judgments on things like, oh, that's negative energy or this. I don't even know anything about. Yes, I don't know. Basically, I just want to just get clear that it's like that which is not mine, that which I'm not to be carrying, let that be released. Not to put a value judgment.
Yeah, that's, I think, Vickie, what I so appreciate about your work is exactly that. It's like, let's not judge if the water is muddy or if the water is clear, but for me to be able to see better, I have techniques that can help to clear the water so that I can stay a little bit more clearer, so I can navigate maybe the stream a little bit better, right? Yeah. And I think that is such a gift, because there's a lot of talk about, do you need to cleanse your space, and these are negative energies and positive energies, and yet coming from sound, and I know at least coming from sound too, it's just energy. And in sound, if you want to create harmony, it's not only the high frequencies, you need a balance. If you look at an orchestra, you need low tones, middle tones, high tones, sharp tones, soft tones. You need everything to create a completeness. Just like
our humanity, huh?
Yeah.
Like all of our colors and shades and sizes, and it's our humanity. Yeah.
Which brings me to the word hum, because I always find it very funny that the word hum is inside the word humanity. You open your book with the power of the hum, and it is a sound that people used to use a lot while they were cooking and working and hanging wash. Tell me about it. So talk to us about the power of the hum.
Oh my goodness. Thank goodness for the hum. And everyone always knew that. Every language, it has it. So maybe not every, but most of the languages that I'm aware of, they have something similar in it. I think we've always had it. in a way that it soothes our nervous system. It's like, oh, it just is there. It is there for us. I think, plus I talk about how our bodies love the sound of our own voice. It just absolutely loves it. And that let me soothe that nervous system. I speak a lot about the nervous system, Kara, because it needs a lot of soothing most of the time. Most of our illnesses, somehow the nervous system has been affected or will become. And if I can keep my nervous system in a good humming, healthy place, I will be able to manage more easily any kind of illness that comes along. And I will possibly even have more time and patience for other people. I will soothe my own system. The hum, I could go on forever about what the power of it in terms of physical body and how it starts expanding and juicing this electrical system. Because all we have to do is have a little bit of fear or concerns, and all of us get constricted, and we may not even know it. So the hum is a way of lubricating, soothing, restoring, mending this nervous system of ours. And I probably can't say enough about the hum. And when I first finished this book, I started playing with just going through it as I was doing my little prayers or incantations, so that the book would find who it needed to find. And it was like hum 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 hum. Just going through the book and just noticing how many times, like you said, of humanity, humane, human, that hum is a part of. And that started fascinating me because I hadn't really looked at it. So I did a whole page of words with hum, and I don't know if I'm following what you're asking me.
No, it's good. I like to tell my voice students also to look for the hum inside the word. So for people out there, we have the the M, and we have the N, and we have the NG, the And so if we just are speaking normally to somebody like morning, we have a lot of hum in there. And if we can linger in those moments, if you're a school teacher or you're using your voice a lot, it gives you a very natural way, besides having a humming practice of saying or just humming while you're preparing a meal or something. It's really beautiful to realize that hum is, like you said, it's a juice. It's calming. It's soothing. And if we're a little bit attentive, in almost every second, third, fourth word we have, whether it's a v or a or an n or a l, we have a humming sound, and it's exactly precious. Right?
Exactly, it is. And since you're from the Midwest, which I am as well, there was a lot of that, in conversations, like I mean, I would my mother on the phone on that party line, she might not have said anything other than
right.
It was always there. And so many of our songs started out that way, and so it is a nourishing, innate, inherent wisdom that in our particular language that we're speaking right now finds very soothing to the system. And so yes, the hum.
The hum, and we are in the new yoga scene. We are led to believe that it's the Om, but the Om is actually the hum, or as actually the Amen. Right, like you said, there's so many cultures that have had this hum running through their language. They knew it. They just knew it. You mention in your book, Vickie, you say the issues are in our tissues. I love that. The issues are in our tissues, and say that, which I agree with, all that has ever happened to us is recorded in our body as frequencies. I find this to be so mind-blowing, just for me to look at my body, to touch my body, and think of all the stories, all the colors, all the frequencies that are in the tissues. So share with us a little bit how does this, I guess, how does this process work? That's the way nature is. But when you work with people, or when you even are exploring for yourself, what have been your discoveries with the issues are in our tissues?
The tissues? My base, I'm a body worker. That's where I started. And I trained with many giants, masterful people. I was part of the Roth Institute. I studied for years with Judith Aston, of patterning. I just was very fortunate. I needed to know everything there was to know about my body. I was always a highly sensitive person, like so many people probably listening to us today. I think that we're I've never met anyone that wasn't, to be quite honest. We used to think it was so significant. I think that it's all of us. We are wired to perceive, and but we often need training of how to be, how to mend what I perceive, how to integrate what I perceive, how to not take it on as mine. What is mine? So, see, I get off onto other things. I'm sorry. I always say that when this happens, it's like different energies are coming through. So people that work with sound, many people that work with sound, you are a conduit, right? So you're a channel. So once you start working with a lot of sound and opening your body, a lot of times the body starts to open for a lot of great ideas, and the imagination is flying, and so you're definitely mending different or weaving different layers, right? You were talking about how to use sound to mend. So I was talking about the issues in the tissues, and you were talking about how you've done a lot of different body work with some of the greatest masters in the last 50 years that have been sharing with us all their wisdom and knowledge. And that was basically the question about the issues in the tissues with your own experience when you worked. Like, what is for you the difference? You were talking about rolfing. When I've had rolfing sessions, but they've been done with pressure with hands, but not through pressure hands and singing. So one of the things that I love is to get body work while someone is also toning and touching. I think that's very magical. So what is the difference for you when you work? Do you merge all those things together? Yes, and I think that I know that it's ancient, but when I began doing it, I didn't know anyone else that was doing it, and I actually tried to hide it in many different ways and ask permission from people if they would mind if I, use sound. And this was in the very late 60s, early 70s or so, and then by the early 80s, I was just really out there with it, of sounding bodies. Before that, I would be using colored light bulbs and trying to represent these sounds. And so the body was always audible. I think the body is audible, but many people perceive in different ways. So if you are a body worker and maybe you don't perceive in sound frequencies, you may perceive in color or touch or smell, or, there's so many ways of perception. But mine was through frequency, and sound and color and smell. So some of us have many of the forms. And I'm just so grateful, Kara, that I didn't know anything. I didn't know what was appropriate, what was inappropriate. I was just in love with the human form and wanting to know what it had to teach me, and so I'm so glad that we weren't so sophisticated in the 60s and 70s about this, or I would have probably have been shut down. I would have shut myself. And so, I just went with it. It's like, oh, listen to this. Oh, what does it do when you do this? What happens when you make this sound? Trying to match the sounds, not trying to put sounds into the body.
Yeah.
But, what is the body trying to teach me? That this is a body that it seems to have an audible component, And so I guess that's where I would like us to really come back to, of trusting that there is this innate wisdom of the body in many forms of perceptions and communication, and that I don't have to know what to do. I need to know how to listen. And
you are touching on the ever so important sense of resonance, right? The reflection, the reverberation, the communication between you as a healer and the body as it speaks back to you. Fascinating work, Vickie. We're going to take a very small break and take a very small pause. For those of you out there, stay tuned. We'll be back with more talks on sound healing and Vickie Dodd.
Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. ascendinghearts.com.
With happy clients all over the world, Kara Johnstad knows that your voice is the missing link to more authenticity, abundance, creativity, and health. An internationally acclaimed voice expert, Kara's breakthrough methods have helped thousands of people successfully heal their voice wounds and extinguish the story of self-doubt and shyness forever. Join in group trainings, attend online sessions, schedule one-on-one time, and invite Kara to work with your organization and community. Get started today. Go to www.karajohnstad.com and receive a special guided meditation designed to fine-tune your inner voice and welcome you on the voice journey.
This is Kathy Beal, host of Celestial Compass, featuring astrology you can use. Celestial Compass points you to what's going on in the sky and what you can do with it down here on Earth. We also explore fun, effective, and cosmic tools for navigating this adventure we call life. Join me the first and third Monday of the month at 5 p.m. Eastern Time for Celestial Compass. It's enlightening, entertaining, and empowering.
Host your show on IOM-FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM-FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
You came across someone struggling with hunger. How would you recognize them? Would you notice an 8-year-old girl who's not excited for
summer break because she may not be having lunch again until September?
Or a war veteran who's having a hard time
landing a job and getting back on his feet?
I am the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger. I am hunger in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Voice Rising, where we are delving into the profound healing potential of sound with our esteemed guest, Vickie Dodd. If you're enjoying the conversation, don't forget to subscribe to Voice Rising on your favorite streaming platform and give us a thumbs up for your support. Mega love. It helps us bring great guests to the show. And so now welcome back, Vickie. And let's dive into, you were talking about how you've been doing this for a long time. So you're a pioneer in the field of healing through sound. You've been doing this for over 50 years. How have you seen the landscape of sound healing evolve during this time?
Well, it truly has, hasn't it?
Yeah.
There are instrumentation people are using of putting sounds into the body through different electrodes, through different, there's just so much. I mean, it has really opened up. I'm still one of those people that I think the voice, I just love the human voice. I think our bodies actually love the sound of our own voice, talking to it, singing to it, nurturing it, moaning and groaning. And I mean, I know that there's so many ways of using frequencies to create different, postures in the body or change the frequency. And I think all that's wonderful. It's just not my form, Kara. And it just never has been. But I do know that so many of my colleagues, that is their expertise of I really love just the human voice, quite raw, quite naked. I think, I'm a body worker, so I really like it in that way. It surely has grown, hasn't it? I mean, when I first began, I was asking permission from people's souls if I could just sound them silently. It was just not something that one was doing when I began.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably now where we're doing everything. But could I, so I would sound silently a body when I'd be working on it, and which helped me develop a strong mental body, being able to imagine and see the sounds going through the different meridians and the different geometries of the body. So
right.
I don't know if that's what you're asking me, Kara.
Yeah, and I was just thinking, the voice, it is the only instrument out there that is connected to our blood and our directly. It's the vibrational channel which is running directly through our body. You're not sitting. The singing bowl can penetrate through the skin into the body, but our voice is already inside the body. Our voice, we're carrying that with, and I'm always saying to people, it's a feedback loop. It's like what we speak to our body and how our voice sounds gives us an insight if we're tired or if we're cranky or if we're happy or if we're joyful, right? And that's what makes it so precious.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it's right there. It is honest. And that's the main thing that I want to be able to do with my own healing practice with myself and others, is that honesty, that no matter how I am, no matter how I'm feeling, no matter what's going on, I still can be received. And the voice is going to carry all of that. Not unless I am performing my voice, which many of us are performers. We know how to take our voice no matter where we are, because that's what our gig is saying. I don't care if you're depressed, you've got to go out there and sing, joy to the world, and
right.
So that's the art. That's the art of that profession. But for us that are not doing that or just wanting to do our own therapy, my voice, let me match what is there, not to judge it, but let me sound what is there. And then I start learning the incredible wisdom over and over and over, is that if I sound what is there absolutely changes and transforms, and into some other place, that I would have never gotten to if I were going to try to change it purposefully. I don't know how it needs to change. I don't know. Did I just get off on, is that working what I'm saying here? Is that making sense?
Yeah. And I was just thinking of how the voice, somehow we feel because you were talking about authenticity, we seem to feel a little bit more naked and raw when we're sounding the audible body. I was just thinking about, there are so many journaling practices where people have their journal and they sit in, and it's very valuable. I'm not saying it's not valuable, where they go into that authenticity and they start writing from the stream of consciousness. And then you have the new, in a way, sketching practices. So you're also not working with directly with the words. And then, of course, you have all the speaking therapies. But I think what makes sounding so unique is that most people have judgments or feel embarrassed maybe when they sit down and they really start tuning in and have like a or whatever it is. They think like, God, I'm going insane. Like maybe I'm crazy. What if the people think I'm crazy? And how can you support people? It's such a powerful practice. It is such a actually, I know so many of the practices in your book, and yet I will share with you honestly, because I also coach a lot of also performers and everything. I was reminded to integrate them, the gibberish, the humming, even more than I do. It was just so, and I think what I really, again, I mean, I've already said this, so praise be, but what was and is refreshing is to see this all as a conversation, as an exploration, as an opportunity to deepen the innate wisdom that we already carry within. So it wasn't Vickie saying, well, to be able to get your super duper voice, you need to do this 5 minutes and this 10 minutes, and you have to check this box and do this. You also are the book is also sharing a lot of your own poetry, interspersed with the exercises and your wisdom. And yeah, I appreciate that. Now I lost my train of thought. See, there you go. Choo-choo.
You and I really quite connected, and so I have to remember, did we actually say that, or were we just in dream time almost? So I do appreciate, I do appreciate, yes, the gibberish, the making of just any sounds, just opening it up. It's so much easier to get people to do that now. Can you imagine 50 years ago, it was so hard.
Yeah.
So hard to get us to make any sound at all. So much judgment about our voices. And, it's still there. People still have it. It's so sad, the judgments we have about, years ago, I was teaching in Europe a lot, and especially in Northern Europe, in Switzerland and Germany, and I was working with people who had been classically trained singers. They were just absolutely, I could not. I mean, the serenades at dinner time when they would start singing, it was just really. I had never been around such singers, and they were so hard on themselves. When I said, please show me how, give me a teaching. And so two of them started teaching, I wanted to see what was their training like, because I saw this posturing and of how they were treating themselves. So show me I'm telling you, within 10, 15 minutes, I was crying.
Yeah.
It was so, I mean, they weren't purposely being hard. They were just showing me, this is how we were trained. To be this opera singer, to be this, cruel. And it reminded me of years earlier when I was working with so many dancers and people that had been trained with classical ballet. Cruel, I'm sorry, but cruel.
Yes. Yeah. No, I agree with you. I have many dear friends that are classical singers, and I mean, in the business of being, pop, jazz, whatever, can also be difficult. But it is so, there is so much judgment. They're never enough. They always have to be on top. And even now, you have singers that say, amazing singers, they would say, well, Maria Callas would never, ever be popular now because her voice is not balanced. And you're sitting there going, wow, really? I mean, and so it's a very harsh, arena. Yeah. It's a very harsh arena, and many of them are in need or are thirsty for this deep love and appreciation to play, and it's hard for them. It's a little bit like it's hard for them to draw outside it's like draw the lines inside the circle, color in the lines in the coloring book, and if they have to do gibberish, it's very hard for them because they're so trained.
We cannot be sloppy. We must never be sloppy. And that was the first training that I taught for several years. This group of very classically trained singers when I first started going to Europe, and they taught me so much because it was a world I did not know. I was coming from being a body, I was in a sounder. I was not a singer. I came from people who sang, but that was more of a Ozark type. Anyway, blues. I came from blues singing, which is still, it's so easy to be. It's about dissonance, and so they really opened up my heart. These men and women, mainly women, that I was working with, because it was a world I did not know, and I did not know how cruel so much of the training was, and how they felt about themselves. And so basically we could just start there of making those sounds of how I felt about myself, how I was mistreated, how I was, all the pain, all the anguish, and shame and guilt that was piled onto so many of us. None of us get out of it because we know so little. We know so little about how powerful our words are going to be to someone through the years. And so we keep learning, but there is the sound is such a beautiful way. Once I can do that in an honest way, to be able to dissolve those feelings that came into my body, that got locked into my body when I was being abused, when I was, this was going on or that was going on. Sound dissolves. Sound dissolves crystallization, and it really does. It may take a long time over and over, but not to try to force it, but to just match what's there without hurting ourselves over and over and over. You and I are just floating around. I'm just going.
See? You talk about, in your book, it's a beautiful practice, singing love songs to our shadow. I love that. Singing love songs to our shadow. Yeah, I love that.
I mean, it's like, let me sing love to myself, instead of always and then you didn't do this, and then you didn't do that. And all those students that I've had through the years and clients, they're the ones that taught me the need for love songs.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy for us. I mean, that's our training in so many of our school systems, right? Let me point out before you do, let me point out all of my discrepancies, how I'm really off,
Yeah. Oh yeah, or again, yes, you're writing a beautiful essay, and then it's let me show you all the mistakes, and then judge you and you only have 5 mistakes, and you have maybe 150 words that are beautiful, and then you have these 5 words that are so deemed to be mistakes, and therefore you get a C.
And it goes on and on and on. So many of those kind of examples throughout time, and how do we just probably one of the most challenging things, I don't care who we are, how much success we've had, is how do I just learn, be willing to love this being that I am unconditionally, You know, it's really, I mean, it's quite a challenge. I mean, it's been, for me, at least the last 30 or 40 years, that's been my main work with myself. It's like, please teach me. Please help me become willing. Let me just love this being, you know, warts and all, whatever is going on. Teach me how to love. I don't know how to love. So this is just this, you know, ongoing conversations, and I just think that it's a daily reminder, and then after a while, there's a shift that many shifts that take place through the years, and it becomes easier and easier to just we let go of so much of that hardness, so much of that armor, so much of that trying to be something that we don't even know what it is. Can I be all right as I am? And that is a lot. Grateful as an elder now that is not so much a part of my life any longer. But I spent many, many, many years, you know, writing, filling up cheap notebooks. You know, always buy cheap notebooks, you know, so I can just write. You know,
so you feel free, right? You don't feel guilty. So you feel free. Just
$1 billion, you know. No, it's because I can toss it and I can put it into the fire. And when, you know, but let me get it out of me. You know, so I use writing a lot to get it out of me. Sounding always to get it out. You know, because there's that alchemy that keeps taking place. You know, if I express what is there will change. You know, not you know, not analysis. You know, and teach me how to love, I think, is probably one of the biggest prayers. Teach me how to love.
Teach me how to love. Yeah, one could work with that for our whole lifetime, right?
Yeah. Whole lifetime.
I mean, we come to the earth and the first thing we do is we voice, right? We don't crawl, we don't run, we don't write, we give voice. Do you think we're here to find our voice? Is that why we're these walking instruments? Because it seems to be a very, very powerful, magical, like you said. No, it's the alchemy of this vibrational being that we are. Are there any thoughts for somebody who's an elder of what's it all about, Vickie? Is it just for the moment we live?
Yeah, I really do think it's really about love. And I think that the more and more that whatever we want to call that, maybe love is too strong of a word or hard of a word for people to wrap around, but can I just be in acceptance with what is? You know, I think that for so much of our lifetime, it takes, can I just accept myself as I am? You know, like after, you know, I remember joking, you know, several decades ago, it's like, who needs an enemy? You know, the way so many of us treat ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, oh, you're still not good enough. Oh, you didn't do this. You know, I mean, like, you know, this big hammer following us around. And it takes a while for that hammer to get less and less and less and less and less. Can I just please teach me how to love this being as she is, as he is, as we are, you know, unconditionally. I mean, it's been a big work for me for decades, and it actually starts happening. You know, I think anything that we do over and over and over does start working. We wake up one day and go, oh, I like this person. You're okay. I think I'll leave you alone today. You know, I think I'll get off of your face, you know? And that in itself is such a gift that comes. Can we just leave ourselves alone instead of always with this? I remember as a younger woman and going to visit my mom, and all of a sudden I saw myself as like a Sherlock Holmes with this big magnifying glass, like watching everything she did so I could critique her. Now, I don't know, maybe none of you have done any of that. But, I think it's like, when I saw myself doing that, leave that woman alone. Just love her. Leave her alone. No. It's like
so endearing.
Well, I think that we can do that to one another. It's like always looking for like what's off. So much of our education system was like, where are you off? Like you were just saying before, you could do all these beautiful words and this 5 words were off,
Yeah.
And, what's on?
Yeah.
What's on? Just, yeah. And I know it seems kind of, no, it doesn't. It really is basic. It's like, teach me how to love this being exactly as she is. Because there's the alchemy that starts taking place.
Actually, I think it's so simple. It's so simple that it's that powerful. And if we all ask ourselves that, it's that basic. But can we love what is?
Can we love what is?
And there's a great line from Rumi. I can't remember it, but it's something like that. It's not about loving. It's about somehow taking away the blocks that we have so that the love can get in also, right? So it's how can we be more receptive? How can we listen deeper? How can we love more unconditionally? I think it's a beautiful thing. We could spend it's not the whole show. We could spend our whole lives just exactly in that essence of being, how can I love and not say, oh my God, look at my hair, and why didn't I go to the store and pick up the groceries, and now we gotta eat, I don't know, stone soup and
on it. Oh my goodness, why I should have been more together for this interview. Oh, why didn't I da 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 da?
Yeah.
On and on. It's like, can you leave her alone?
Yeah. Yeah.
Would you get off the case? Can I trust that there really is a power greater than myself? Can I stop just giving that lip service and actually let it really be in there? Can I trust that I'm going to be all right no matter what? Can I let my nervous system mend?
Exactly. Can I let my nervous system mend? Exactly. I think people they're becoming now aware of the nervous system, the vagus nerve, how powerful, it is to, there's even books now on bestsellers on breathing, on trauma work.
Absolutely.
And because the people, they sense it. They sense it.
We have visiting what we've always been doing, because we're quick forgetters.
Yeah.
We are really quick forgetters as humans. So we need to be reminded over and over each decade, each da-da-da, this is a new thing. Oh, breathing. Oh, my goodness, breath. Thank goodness we're quick forgetters, because we can be excited each time. Oh, just love people. Oh. It hasn't changed. I started listening. It's been the same story over and over. But, I'm a quick forgetter. And I love to learn the same thing over and over, because it keeps going deeper in instead of just ahead. It goes deeper in. I never get tired of breathing. I never get tired, of reminding myself to love. Because there's how many layers. Dr. Ida Rolf used to talk about it. People tell me they don't remember her saying it. So maybe I just made it up. I don't know. But I recall her saying that you could go as deep into this human form as you could go into tissue, layer by layer, tissue by tissue, fascia by fascia, as you could go into the cosmos. Yeah. So it's like we that deep. We have that ability to go that deep into the cosmos in ourselves. So I love that image of knowing that it's, and we talk about layer, we're talking about, the finest tissue, fascia tissue. So again, we keep coming to the thing like, I really don't know anything, so I think I'll just love. Let me just love,
Vickie, that is a beautiful place to end our time. The time has just flown by. I thank you so much for sharing all your profound wisdom. And for our listeners, I can just say, go and get yourself a copy of Vickie Dodd's new book, Healing Through Sound, Awakening Your Audible Body, which is going to get you all excited to realize that you have another body out there to love deeply. And for those of you, join me next week, or in 2 weeks, we have Renee Gregorio, and she's going to be sharing with us somatic practices which are going to enhance our writing practice. Thank you, Vickie, so much for being with me on Voice Rising.
Right. Yeah, so great. Thank you.
Many blessings, and have fun. You're really a joy to be with.
You are as well. Blessings. May all go well for you.